Welcome to the FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly podcast series hosted by Jason Ayres, a top instructor, trader, and founder of OptionSource.net. Join Jason as he discusses the latest trends in the Forex market with a look ahead on the US dollar versus the major currencies using the most commonly used technical indicators.
Hi there and welcome to the ISE Options Weekly Outlook for October 26, 2009. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Let's take a look at the US dollar index here. This is a weekly chart. Now the 76.77 focal zone still remains an important level on our bigger picture outlook here. A break below that now suggests a move down into the 73.74 focal zone is a high probability. A break back into that 76.77 focal zone opens up the possibility for a move up into the 78.79 range. However, the path of least resistance does continue to the downside. If we take a look at our daily snapshot here, we do actually have a near-term support level representing a key measured move off of the previous several months down trend here at 75, and we may very well see some consolidation here with a possibility of a snapback into that 76, 77 focal zone. A break below 75 opens up the window down into that 73, 74 box. All right, let's take a look at the CDD, the U.S. versus the Canadian dollar. Well, after a rough start to the week, the U.S. dollar managed to regain some ground against the Canadian dollar as our pair value now appears to be heading up to test resistance at the 106-107 focal zone. Now, we are cautious of the possibility that this just may represent a natural retracement, in which case we could be lining up for a continuation down into this 100 level, which again represents a U.S. Canadian dollar par. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar versus the yen through the ISE options pair value YUK. Well, after a slight pullback earlier on in the week, the YUK managed to push through our 91.5 focal zone. Now appears to be heading up to test the resistance level up in the 92.5, 93 focal zone. Now, as long as the pair value holds above 91.5, then we may very well see that push into this upper focal zone. However, a break below 91 opens up the possibility for a test back down into this 89.90 focal zone. Let's take a look at the EUI, the US versus the Euro. Now the 67.5, 68 focal zone still remains an important level, and without a break above that, the path of least resistance continues to be to the downside. Now we have a target based on an extended move down at 66, which now appears to be a logical level where the EUI could conceivably find support. A bounce off of this level here after some expected consolidation should play back into the 67.5, 68 focal zone. Without a break above that, the path of least resistance continues to be to the downside. Let's take a look at the BPX, the US versus the British pound. Well, the BPX continues to trend to the downside, starting this week off quite negatively, only to springboard back up into the 61, 61.5 focal zone on Friday. Now, this area does reflect a very important resistance level, and we may be seeing next week a push back down to test this 59.5, 60 focal zone. A break through this level will have us targeting the 62, 62.5 focal zone. Let's take a look at the AUX, the US versus the Australian dollar. Now our pair value appears to be consolidating around the 107.5, 108 focal zone. Now if this is the start of the formation of a bear flag, we would be targeting this 106 box to the downside. If the pair value is able to find some support here, we would be looking at a test back into this 110 level. An extended move beyond that would have us targeting 112, 113. Let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the US dollar index continues to move lower with a test of 74, a high probability. The 73-75 zone is an important focal zone in the bigger picture and would be a logical area for the index to consolidate in before any reversal. The CDD regained some ground. The 106-107 focal zone will be an important resistance level. This week's bullish move may be a retracement before a continuation down to 100. As long as 103-104 holds, we should see a push into this 106-107 zone. The YUK continued to push towards the 92.5, 93 focal zone. The pair value is at a point where a reversal is possible. As long as 91 holds, the window is open for a continuation to the upside. The EUI made a slight attempt at a move back up towards 67.5, but could not make the push. The path of least resistance is still down. However, the pair value is closing in on an extended measured move at 66, which would be a logical near-term support. The BPX extended its move down, hitting 60 before snapping back into the 61, 61.5 focal zone. This would be a logical area for a rejection and retest of 60. We suspect at least a mild pullback. A break above 61.30 is likely to yield a test of 62, 62.5. And finally, the AUX spent the week consolidating in a flag-like formation, supporting the possibility of a test of 106. A break to the upside is likely to find resistance back into the 110 focal zone. And this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 26, 2009. I'm Jason Ayres of OptionsSource.net. Thanks for joining me here this week. We'll see you here next.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary, visit www.fxoptions.com. Become an OptionSource.net member. Visit www.optionsource.net. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.